What's going on, guys? We got another video. If you are watching this, I greatly appreciate it. If you could subscribe and like the video, it helps me out a ton. I hope your guys' projects are going well. I hope life is going well for you. Let's get into the video. We have an absolutely huge mess right now. Massive mess. Not to worry, we will be cleaning it up. So, last video, we pulled a lot of mods off of this car, and you did not see me put these wheels on this car, which you probably didn't miss anything. You probably didn't want to see me put these wheels on this car, but I wanted the wheels off of this one to put on my 17 STI because those are the rims we're going to be using with some off-road tires that we need to order. So I had to put these wheels on here. It is what it is. So it's going to sit on these for a little bit, but motor is out. A lot of modifications are removed. We got the suspension off of it with some different suspension back on it. Seats are out because this had unlimited interior that I need to put in a different vehicle. Here is the motor. We're going to hopefully tear that down today. Right now on the agenda, I need to pull fuel lines and the radium fuel hanger out of this thing. And then we are going to put these seats in it. This is from a different vehicle. So once we pull the fuel lines, get those seats in there, this car is getting rolled out, and I'm going to probably list it somewhat soon for a whole as a roller like this. I'd like for someone to pick it up and fix it and either sell it or drive it for themselves. If it doesn't sell, then I will part it out, but I'd rather not do that. So let's get going. And then after this, we need to have a major cleanup party. And then we're hopefully on to starting to tear down some of the 19 STI and putting that back to stock. Officially have the biggest mess I've ever had. We got the car lowered down pretty close here in the rear, but we should be good. There's no weight in the front, so but I think we'll be all right. Got the original wing back on. I kept that just because you would never find another one in this color because there's only like 200 of these cars in this color with the wing. There's the carbon trunk. We're going to roll this thing out right out here. We'll get some pictures of it, and then we'll park it back down there. We will list it for sale, and then we will be on to listing some of the parts from it, cleaning, and then tearing down the motor. A lot to do, but we just got to do it. So let me roll this thing out of here, and we'll get going on the next stuff. Usually it's pretty straightforward rolling these out of here. This thing feels like it's squatted. Start pushing, get these boards out of the way. And then once we get to the edge, I get really close, get ready to put my foot on the brake, hold it on the edge so we don't go flying down the hill, then roll it out. All right, we will leave it right here. It's like completely squatted. I wonder why I don't know why it's such a huge difference. It has lowering springs all the way around, so I don't know what the big difference is. Obviously it doesn't have a motor in it, so it's gonna sit higher in the front anyways, but it seems excessive. Stupid chickens. I'm gonna pop out the seats because it's got some STI limited seats, so I'm gonna pop those out real quick. I might list it today, maybe tomorrow, not really sure. There's a few more things I will have to pull off, but might as well get it out on the market so people can start seeing it. Yeah, this is kind of just all boring, not interesting stuff, so unfortunately, but that's what I'm doing right now, so I'm taking you guys along with. This thing looks absolutely ridiculous. The seat binds up sometimes. Man, this car is kind of nasty on the inside right now. All the seat rails are rusty, which these were before, but they seem to be worse now. Must be some moisture that got in. I think from the trunk. The trunk really didn't seal that well. The aftermarket VIS carbon one. It did not seal ideal. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Ugh. Hopefully it doesn't start raining again. That would be a bummer while I'm trying to swap interiors. All right, let's get the other seat. My phone's dying, so I'm gonna have to charge that here in a sec. I might just do that when I start putting this other interior in. Oh shoot, I forgot about the plugs. Sometimes I hate these plugs. Sometimes those plugs under the seat are so annoying. All right, the only thing that I will have to take out of here is the link ECU, but I'm gonna leave that in there until someone either buys it with the link or buys it and doesn't want the link and wants the factory ECU. So I'm gonna leave that for now. But I'm gonna charge my phone while I get the other interior swapped in here. We'll get some pictures of it and get it listed. What's going on, guys? It is Monday, start of the work week, and we ran a bunch of errands this morning. We got the 2017 STI title transferred over to my name, and once we get that closer to driving, we'll get that registered so we can start driving it. And I also picked up the motor for the 2017 STI. It's in the back of the truck. This is the JDM EJ20X, and yeah, we're gonna get this thing unloaded a little bit later once we get the motor that is currently on the engine stand. Once we get that one torn down, we can pull it off the stand and get the 20X on there, start getting it ready to drop into the 17. But before that, we're gonna have to tear apart our 19 STI, put that back to stock so we have the mods and parts we need for the 2017 STI. Sorry if that's confusing, but yeah, let's get rolling into it. So I'm gonna start tearing down this motor first. Back here is the motor out of my 2007 STI, and I need the TGVs, the intake manifold, and the IAG oil pan down there. I need those things for this 2017 STI. Maybe I'll put the fluid damper on it also. Not really sure, but there's not really anything else that we're going to steal off this motor. But like I said, we need this motor off the stand. This one is rod knocked, but I will be selling the cylinder heads and the rod knocked short block separate, of course. I believe this has a brand new timing kit on it, so maybe I'll use it on the EJ20X so we don't have to buy a timing kit. And I already have a clutch that I picked out for the 17. It's all rusty right now and I'll need to clean it up, but this guy right here, it's got basically brand new discs on it. It is very lightly used. It might be kind of a aggressive clutch because it's a 6-puck clutch, but that's okay. It's not going to be our everyday driver, and we might want to dump the clutch a little bit sometimes in it, especially if we're driving it in the winter and taking it up to the dunes. What's up, kitty? How's it going? You're talkative. All right, let's get working. To those of you that come back continuously to watch my videos, I greatly appreciate it. You're helping me out by watching these videos. This is the most consistent I have been putting out videos, and I'm going to try my best to continue putting these out at a better quality. All right, like I said, motor out of my 2007 STI, this white one right down here. It was nearly a 600 wheel horsepower car. Motor blew up. I don't want to invest into a new long block currently for the car. Just too expensive for me right now. I'm trying to save up for a house, and so we're on budget builds, no high horsepower builds. We'll dig right into this one. I'll time lapse it for you guys. Nothing too exciting. If we find anything crazy, I'll record it, but otherwise I will see you guys after the time lapse. Little did I know that I was going to find something not necessarily crazy, but kind of disappointing. Something that I did, which ended up causing the motor to blow up. So make sure you stick around to see what it was. If you could also hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps me out so much. All right, I'm curious to see what this looks like under here because I have never had the cylinder head off, and supposedly it has some sort of O-ring head gasket. But we're going to find out here in about 2 seconds. Let's take a look. Well, that is definitely not any sort of special head gasket. It is just an OEM Subaru head gasket, it looks like, if I'm being honest. Okay. I was not expecting the Subaru head gasket, but it is good to see that it's closed deck, like it said it was. That is good. Quick backstory on this motor. It was from a part out car that was crashed that I bought and parted out, and I kept the motor with the thought that I might use it for my car, like I did end up doing, but I never took apart the long block because it ran fine when I got it, and so I never took it apart. And I didn't even truly know if it was closed deck. I did have unofficial paperwork for it, but it is good to see that it is closed deck. But yeah, that is just a Subaru head gasket, which they held. We didn't lift the cylinder head, but nice, cool to see. Let's take a look at the cylinders. Once I get the other cylinder head off, we will rotate this short block around, check it out. There's a possibility that I would rebuild it, but more than likely I am just going to list it for sale because I don't want to rebuild it. So let's pull the other head off. All right, this cylinder head is off as well. Now, I'm no engine expert in terms of clearances and things like that, but I think on both cylinder heads, now that I look at them, you can see how there's a line right there, a line right there, and there's a line on this one down here, but not the above one, and there's some on the other side. I think the pistons hit the heads, And I don't know if like a bearing, if you have a bearing failure slash rod knock, if there's enough clearance there to allow it to hit the cylinder head. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how close the piston comes to the cylinder head. Regardless, I think it's pretty close, but it does look like the piston hit the cylinder head, which isn't that big of a deal because we're not reusing this motor anyways. And decking the heads would probably get rid of that problem with the cylinder heads. But other than that, everything looks really clean. Everything looks really nice. Cams still look good. These are ported cylinder heads, you can see there. So this will be a good setup for somebody that wants to get them decked and cleaned, and they will be good and can support probably the supported 600 wheel, no problem. It's got oversized valves, springs, retainers. They're ported, like I said. So good to go there. Now we're going to take this oil pan off, and we'll see which rod or multiple rods are rod knocking. We'll turn the engine over as well, and we might actually be able to hear the rod knock because it was pretty bad. But let's pop this pan off first. All right, this should come off somewhat easy. I remember I put a little bit of RTV on it, so we'll see. There she goes. Yes, that is a blue shop towel jammed in the oil pickup. Definitely bearing material for sure, which is expected, but nothing. Oh my. I had a moment of processing here, but yeah. No way. No freaking way. Oh my gosh. I blew up my own motor. Like, my fault, which makes it worse. I just found what looks to be a blue rag, and that would be why it went to 0 oil pressure and rod knocked. Oh my gosh. What? Where did this blue rag come from? There's like almost no ways for it to get into the crankcase. So it could get to the crankcase by being in the oil pan, obviously, by being on the pickup. I guess it could possibly be, it could have gotten through somewhere, somehow. That is a bummer because this car would probably still be running if I wasn't dumb. But sometimes you're just dumb. But this is 100% why it failed. 100%. I have all the faith that's why it failed. But what I don't understand is it had to have worked its way into the motor because it didn't have 0 oil pressure from the start, and it actually ran, when I say for a while, not a lot of miles, but it was on the dyno and didn't have issues. Obviously, before that, I drove it and didn't have issues. So this had to have gotten in somehow, then obviously caused the failure. But how is the real question. And I can't think of where I would have put a blue rag that it would have gotten into the oil pan. That is a bummer. I knew it was kind of weird that it just failed because there was nothing wrong with it before. That sucks. Now, 2 weird things on this build. The blue rag in the oil pickup, and I found that the microfiber in the intercooler. Dumb mistakes. Dumb mistakes by me. Dumb mistakes. You guys are building a car. Double check everything. Because obviously I didn't. Obviously I did not. But that is like no question that's why it failed. No question. Completely my fault. I don't know what else to say. L in the comments for me. Self-inflicted issues. Seems to happen a lot. We'll get the rest of this oil stuff out of here, and then we'll take a look at the cylinders. I'm guessing that there's some damage due to the fact that we lost oil pressure. It wasn't driven very long with the low oil pressure. It could be one that I could maybe keep and rebuild, or I could just sell it like I usually do with blown motors. But yeah, we'll figure it out. In a way, I'm glad that I ended up finding what the issue was, because the fact that it blew up so suddenly when it did kind of confused me. Make sure you guys don't do this like I did. All right, we've got our cylinder heads cleaned up, got those all put away. So now we just have some tools and the manifold left on the table, which means we're going to dig into this. So this is the EJ20X that will be going into my 2017 STI, which you see poking right there on the corner. And we got to tear a lot off this thing. Pretty much everything is coming off of it, including the header, the up pipe, the turbo, the intake manifold, all that stuff, because we are going to be using stuff from the same gen car, so that we're not using any of the JDM stuff. I don't even know if it would work. We're not running the twin scroll turbo. We're just running factory STI turbo. So let's get going. We are also replacing the oil pan with an IAG unit. We are also replacing the timing kit and removing the oil pump, making sure the screws on the backside of the oil pump are tight, replacing the front main crank seal and the rear main crank seal. Also, I think we're going to do valve cover gaskets, make sure that valve lash looks fine. I think that's about it that we're replacing, and then it will be nearly ready to drop in our 2017 STI. So let's get started on that. Just going to be tear down for right now and see what we need to replace. This is my first time purchasing a Subaru JDM motor. I've done it in the past with a Honda before, but I was very pleased with how clean everything looked. We are about ready to pull off these back covers, take the valve covers off, make sure everything looks good in there, replace the valve covers. We're going to replace the cam seals here. We're going to pull the oil pump off, check the Phillips screws on the back of there, make sure those are tight. Sometimes they come loose. Replace the crank seal right behind here, and then we will reseal the oil pump, change out the water pump, get this thing all back assembled, get it back and timed up. Then we'll get this manifold on. But tonight I am done because I am heading golfing in about an hour and I have to eat yet still. Golf season is about done here, so maybe a few more weeks, but we will see. But I'll see you guys in the morning. We are jumping in to tearing this down further. The only thing I am doing is pulling the valve cover, making sure it looks good in there. I'll probably check valve lash, replace the spark plug tube seals, replace the valve cover gaskets, and hopefully we can get this thing timed and ready to go today, and we'll be able to jump into the 2019 STI and get that back to stock, and then hopefully the 17 running hopefully next week. Making videos is still new to me. I'm working on not being so repetitive for you guys. Looks absolutely perfect in here. Valve lash looks good. I've got it cleaned up. Gonna throw the valve cover back on with new gaskets, and then we're gonna go to the other side, and a little bit easier than I thought. Yeah, it looks really nice in here, so I'm super happy. This is one of my longer videos, so again, thank you very much if you are still watching. It helps me out, it helps support me, makes me want to make more videos. Valve covers are resealed, everything looked great. Now we're doing the oil pan. I've got this IAG pan down here we're throwing on it, and then we're onto the oil pump, and we're nearing done, getting ready to retime it, so we're making good progress. IAG baffle and pickup are on. So now we'll get the mounting surface for the oil pan all cleaned up. We'll get that guy mounted on, got it all cleaned out, ready to go. And we'll be done with the bottom side here onto the oil pump. This IAG oil pan actually uses an O-ring to seal, so it was super easy to install. Prime example of why to pull off and check the oil pump. There are 3 screws loose, so we're gonna put a little bit of Loctite on them and tighten them back down. For right now, we are done with the EJ20X until we get some parts off of my 19. I'm waiting on a cam seal, but we've got the oil pan sealed up, the oil pump sealed up, the valve covers resealed, everything is done there, everything is good to go. I'm going to end this video here. We're going to jump onto the 19. I hope you guys are doing well in life. I hope your projects are going well. Hope you're healthy. I hope to see you guys in the next video.